Introduction. Throughout human history, the night sky has inspired both wonder and unease. Strange lights have appeared over cities, deserts, and oceans, moving in ways that seem to defy our understanding of flight and physics. These phenomena, often referred to as UFOs, have been dismissed at times as illusions, weather balloons, or the products of human imagination. Yet the persistence of these sightings across cultures and generations demands attention. They compel us to ask a question that refuses to fade. What if some of these mysteries are real? In recent years, UFOs have shifted from the realm of conspiracy theories to serious discussions in government hearings, academic papers, and scientific conferences. The conversation has expanded far beyond eyewitness testimony. It now touches on the very foundations of modern physics. Could the extraordinary maneuvers attributed to these objects be explained by principles of science that are not yet fully understood? Could they be windows into technologies that harness forces far greater than those we currently control? Theoretical physics provides a language for these possibilities. Concepts such as warped space-time, quantum fields, and exotic energy sources may sound abstract, but they open doors to interpretations that once belonged solely to science fiction. Today, they offer frameworks through which scientists, visionaries, and researchers like Jesse Michels explore the UFO enigma. This audiobook will not offer definitive answers. Instead, it will take you on a journey through the landscapes of physics that intersect with the UFO mystery. We will explore the bold ideas of exotic propulsion, hidden dimensions, gravitational manipulation, and advanced materials, concepts that stretch our imagination and test the boundaries of science itself. As you listen, remember that theoretical physics often begins with speculation. It asks us to suspend disbelief, to consider what may lie just beyond the edge of current knowledge. In that spirit, let us venture into the unknown, guided by both reason and curiosity, as we uncover the scientific possibilities behind one of humanity's most enduring mysteries. Chapter 1. The UFO Mystery Reframed. For centuries, human beings have looked to the sky and witnessed events that defy explanation. Ancient texts describe fiery chariots moving among the stars, while medieval chronicles speak of luminous disks and strange celestial battles unfolding above villages. These early records, often wrapped in the language of myth and religion, reveal that the UFO mystery is not a modern phenomenon. It is a thread woven throughout human history. In the 20th century, this ancient wonder found a new expression. With the dawn of aviation and space exploration, sightings of flying saucers surged across the globe. The famous 1947 incident near Roswell, New Mexico, cemented UFOs in the public imagination, transforming them into cultural icons. Stories of unidentified craft spread quickly, amplified by media coverage, novels, and films. For many, UFOs became a symbol of hope or fear, visitors from the stars, either benevolent or threatening. Yet, for decades, the dominant narrative remained one of skepticism. Governments and institutions often dismissed UFO reports as misidentifications, atmospheric phenomena, or the products of imagination. The subject was relegated to the margins, associated with fringe beliefs rather than serious inquiry. The UFO became a cultural phenomenon, but not a scientific one. This perspective began to shift in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Pilots, both military and commercial, reported encounters with objects that moved with astonishing speed, executed sudden right-angle turns, or hovered silently before vanishing. Radar operators confirmed these anomalies, providing evidence beyond eyewitness testimony. The release of declassified government documents added to the intrigue, revealing decades of quiet investigation hidden behind public denial. A new narrative emerged. Perhaps UFOs were not mere illusions, but puzzles worthy of scientific attention. Researchers began to explore the phenomenon with tools drawn from physics, engineering, and psychology. Institutions once dismissive of the topic, universities, scientific journals, and even the United States government opened the door to cautious, methodical study. This reframing of the UFO mystery represents a profound shift. The question is no longer simply, are UFOs real, but rather, what principles of science might explain them? Could these objects, if genuine, be operating under laws of physics not yet understood? Could they be glimpses of technologies so advanced they appear miraculous to us? The transition from speculation to investigation marks the beginning of a new era in the UFO discussion. No longer confined to folklore or fiction, the phenomenon now intersects with the deepest questions of physics and human understanding. It is here, at the intersection of mystery and science, that our journey truly begins. Chapter 2: Energy Beyond Imagination. Exotic Propulsion. When eyewitnesses describe UFOs, one feature often stands out above all others: their movement. These objects accelerate without sound, hover motionless against gravity, and then vanish at speeds that seem impossible for any known aircraft. To observers, it appears as if they are not bound by the same physical limitations that govern human technology. How could such propulsion be possible? The answer, if it exists, must lie in physics beyond what is commonly applied to today's machines. The first step in reimagining propulsion is to question our reliance on chemical energy. From rockets to jet engines, modern flight depends on combustion and the expulsion of exhaust to generate thrust. Yet the energy density of chemical fuels is relatively low. If a UFO can perform maneuvers such as instantaneous acceleration or sharp right-angle turns, it would require an energy source far beyond the capacity of any chemical reaction. This opens the door to exotic ideas. One such concept is zero-point energy. According to quantum mechanics, even in the vacuum of space, where no matter or radiation exists, there remains a fluctuating background of energy. This sea of quantum activity, known as the zero-point field, contains an immense reservoir of power. If technology could tap into this source, it might provide propulsion that appears limitless. The challenge, however, is that zero-point energy exists at scales that are not easily accessible. While theoretical frameworks suggest its presence, extracting and controlling it remains a mystery. Still, for some physicists and researchers, it offers a tantalizing explanation for how UFOs might defy conventional limits. Another proposal involves gravitational manipulation. Gravity, though familiar in daily life, remains one of the least understood forces in physics. Theories suggest that gravity could be bent or shielded under the right conditions. If a craft could distort the gravitational field around it, it might fall continuously in the direction of travel, achieving movement without traditional propulsion. This would explain the silent, effortless motion often described in UFO reports. Experimental work on this front is sparse, but some research into gravitomagnetism and space-time curvature offers hints that the idea is not entirely beyond the realm of physics. There is also the concept of electromagnetic propulsion, which harnesses plasma fields, magnetic vortices, or ionized particles to generate thrust without combustion. While laboratory experiments have demonstrated small-scale effects, nothing close to the dramatic maneuvers attributed to UFOs has been achieved. Still, these experiments suggest that unconventional methods of propulsion are at least possible in principle. Skeptics argue that these concepts, while fascinating, remain speculative and unproven. Zero-point energy has never been extracted in a usable form. Gravitational manipulation is not achievable with current technology, and most claims of impossible engines have failed under scientific scrutiny. Yet this does not negate their potential significance. The history of science is filled with ideas once deemed impossible, only to become reality centuries later. If UFOs are real craft, their movements suggest mastery of principles that extend far beyond our present capabilities. Whether through tapping the quantum vacuum, manipulating gravity, or harnessing entirely new forces, they appear to operate with an energy economy that dwarfs anything in human history. For researchers like Jesse Michels, this mystery is precisely what makes the subject so compelling. Exotic propulsion is not only a question of engineering, it is a challenge to the very foundations of physics. Chapter 3: Warping Space and Time. Among the boldest concepts in theoretical physics is the idea of bending the very fabric of reality to travel across vast cosmic distances. At the heart of this notion lies a proposal known as the Alcubierre drive, first introduced in 1994 by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. Unlike traditional propulsion, which pushes a craft through space, the Alcubierre drive suggests manipulating space itself, compressing it in front of a ship and expanding it behind, creating a wave that carries the craft forward. This idea is rooted in Einstein's theory of general relativity, which describes gravity not as a force, but as the curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy. Just as a heavy object bends the surface of a trampoline, massive bodies distort the fabric of the universe around them. Alcubierre's insight was to imagine a localized bubble of curved space-time. A craft within this bubble would not technically move faster than light. Instead, the bubble itself would shift through space-time, allowing effective travel at speeds that, from an outside perspective, exceed the universal limit. The implications are staggering. If such a warp bubble could be created, a ship could traverse light years in a matter of days or even hours. No acceleration would be felt inside the bubble, and the crew would remain shielded from the relativistic effects, time dilation, and energy costs that normally constrain near-light travel.
For those who wonder about UFOs and their seemingly impossible maneuvers, the Alcubierre drive offers a tantalizing framework. Could these objects be exploiting similar principles to bypass the limits of conventional propulsion? Yet the theory faces daunting challenges. The mathematics of the Alcubierre drive requires exotic matter, a form of energy with negative mass or pressure to sustain the warp bubble. No such substance has ever been observed in nature, though hints of negative energy densities appear in certain quantum effects, like the Casimir effect. Even if exotic matter exists, the amount required would be astronomical, perhaps greater than the total mass energy of entire stars. Another issue arises with causality and stability. A warp bubble might create horizons similar to black holes, trapping information and making navigation nearly impossible. Some calculations suggest that radiation could accumulate at the edge of the bubble, incinerating anything in its path. In addition, there is the profound concern that warping space-time in this manner could destabilize the surrounding fabric of the universe itself. Despite these limitations, research continues. Physicists have refined Alcubierre's original equations, reducing the energy requirements in theoretical models. NASA's EagleWorks laboratory once explored the concept, investigating whether small-scale distortions of space-time might be detectable in experiments. While practical application remains far beyond reach, the very act of studying the Alcubierre drive expands our imagination and deepens our understanding of relativity. What makes the idea so compelling is not that it is possible today, but that it reveals the elasticity of physics itself. The laws of nature, as described by relativity, do not forbid such constructs outright. They only demand conditions we cannot yet achieve. For many, this suggests that UFOs, if real, might be evidence of civilizations that have mastered such principles, bending space and time as easily as we bend metal or wood. The Alcubierre drive stands as a symbol of the frontier between science and speculation. It reminds us that even within the rigor of Einstein's equations, there lies room for dreams of interstellar voyages. And though the obstacles are immense, the theory continues to intrigue, a beacon of what might one day be possible if humanity, or others, learns to sculpt the fabric of reality itself. Chapter 4: Quantum Fields and Hidden Dimensions. When we think of reality, we usually imagine the three dimensions of space and the single dimension of time. Yet modern physics suggests that the universe may be far richer and stranger than our senses allow. At the smallest scales, in the domain of quantum fields and string theory, additional dimensions may exist, hidden from view, yet fundamental to the fabric of existence. These possibilities open the door not only to new ways of understanding the cosmos, but also to radical explanations for phenomena like UFOs. Quantum field theory tells us that the universe is not an empty void, but a seething ocean of energy. Particles arise as excitations of invisible fields that permeate space. In this framework, reality is not static, but dynamic, shaped by fluctuations, interactions, and hidden layers of structure. Some physicists have speculated that advanced civilizations might learn to manipulate these fields directly, creating portals or shortcuts that bypass the ordinary constraints of distance. String theory takes this vision further. It proposes that the fundamental constituents of reality are not point-like particles, but tiny vibrating strings of energy. These strings can only be mathematically consistent if additional dimensions exist, perhaps 10 or 11 in total. Most of these dimensions are thought to be compactified, curled up at scales too small for us to perceive. But if these dimensions could somehow be unfolded or accessed, they might provide new pathways through the universe. Instead of crossing light years of space, a craft could step sideways into a hidden dimension and reappear instantly in another region of our universe. This idea resonates with certain reports of UFOs that describe sudden appearances and disappearances, as if the objects were slipping in and out of our reality. Could they be utilizing hidden dimensions, moving through spaces we cannot perceive, and emerging wherever they choose? To us, their movements appear instantaneous and mysterious, but from their perspective, they may be simply taking a different route through the architecture of the cosmos. The notion of the multiverse further expands these possibilities. If multiple universes exist, each with its own physical laws and constants, then the boundaries between them could, in theory, be crossed under extraordinary conditions. Advanced technology might allow a craft to tunnel between universes, slipping out of our world and into another before returning. This could explain why UFOs seem to defy conventional tracking, vanishing from radar or visual contact in ways that elude logical explanation. Of course, these ideas remain speculative. No experiment has yet confirmed the existence of hidden dimensions, and the multiverse, while a compelling concept, is still beyond empirical reach. Critics argue that such theories are untestable and therefore lie outside the scope of science. Yet they persist in the imagination of physicists and researchers because they arise naturally from attempts to unify the laws of nature. For those who study the UFO phenomenon through the lens of physics, quantum fields and hidden dimensions offer more than fantasy. They provide a coherent, if speculative, framework in which extraordinary observations might one day be explained. If a civilization has discovered how to access these hidden realms, it would possess abilities that to us appear magical: instantaneous travel, disappearance and reappearance at will. In this way, the intersection of UFOs and theoretical physics challenges us to expand our vision of reality. Perhaps what we perceive as strange or impossible is simply the shadow of deeper dimensions waiting to be revealed.
Chapter 5: Gravity as Technology. For most of human history, gravity was considered an invisible but ever-present force, inescapable, constant, and unchangeable. It was Isaac Newton who first described it mathematically, envisioning gravity as the attraction between masses. Centuries later, Albert Einstein revolutionized our understanding by showing that gravity is not a force at all, but the warping of space-time itself. Objects move the way they do, not because they are pulled by an invisible tether, but because they follow the curves of a distorted cosmic fabric. This shift in perspective opened an entirely new way of thinking. If gravity is the shape of space-time, could it be shaped deliberately?
Could a civilization advanced enough learn to bend this fabric, not only to travel among the stars, but also to manipulate reality at will? Recent scientific achievements suggest the question may not be as far-fetched as it once seemed. In 2015, the LIGO Observatory made history by detecting gravitational waves, tiny ripples in space-time caused by the collision of black holes more than 1 billion light-years away. For the first time, humanity had direct evidence that gravity itself can be stirred, that it moves and vibrates like a cosmic ocean. This discovery confirmed Einstein's predictions and gave us a new tool to study the universe. It also hinted, in the minds of some researchers, at the possibility of harnessing gravity in ways we have yet to imagine. When applied to the UFO mystery, gravity becomes not only a natural phenomenon, but a potential technology. Reports of craft that accelerate without inertia, hover silently, or move at right angles defy the limits of conventional aerodynamics. One explanation is that such objects might not be flying in the traditional sense at all. Instead, they could be creating local distortions in gravity, effectively neutralizing their own weight and propelling themselves by reshaping the space-time around them. To outside observers, these maneuvers would appear miraculous, but to the craft, they might be as simple as flipping a switch. Some theorists propose that UFOs could generate a gravitational field bubble, reducing or even eliminating the forces acting upon them. This would explain why pilots often report seeing these objects perform maneuvers that would crush any human inside due to G-forces. If gravity itself is cancelled or redirected, such stresses may simply not exist within the craft. The implications go even further. If gravity can be engineered, it could be used for purposes beyond propulsion, shielding from external threats, bending light for invisibility, or even manipulating the passage of time. After all, Einstein's relativity shows that time itself flows differently under strong gravitational fields. To control gravity would be to control one of the deepest aspects of reality. Of course, the scientific obstacles are immense. Gravity is the weakest of the 4 fundamental forces, and manipulating it directly requires energy on a scale we cannot currently produce. The gravitational waves detected by LIGO were born from the collision of massive black holes more than 1 billion light-years away. To reproduce even a fraction of that effect in a laboratory seems impossible for now. Still, speculation continues. Military and academic researchers have long studied gravitational anomalies, while private organizations experiment with electromagnetic fields in search of gravitational effects. No conclusive breakthrough has been made, but the persistence of these efforts shows how seriously the idea is taken. If UFOs do manipulate gravity, then they are demonstrating mastery of a technology that redefines what it means to move through space. They are not simply flying machines, they are architects of space-time itself. And for humanity, the possibility that such control is achievable, even in theory, expands the horizon of what science and imagination can embrace.
Chapter 6: The Plasma Hypothesis. When the skies glow with mysterious lights, dancing orbs, flickering spheres, or sudden flashes, scientists often turn to one explanation: plasma. Plasma is the 4th state of matter,
different from solids, liquids, or gases. It is a soup of charged particles, electrons and ions interacting with magnetic and electric fields. It makes up the stars, the auroras, and the lightning bolts that split the night sky. For many atmospheric scientists, plasma is the key to unlocking what has often been misinterpreted as UFO phenomena. Ball lightning, for instance, is one of the most mysterious natural occurrences. Witnesses describe glowing orbs drifting silently across fields or entering homes through windows, hovering with a surreal calmness before vanishing in an instant. Such descriptions overlap with countless UFO reports through history. Could many of these encounters be misread manifestations of plasma at work? Conventional explanations frame these events as rare but natural products of electrical discharges, storm conditions, or unique atmospheric chemistry. Plasma, in these cases, becomes a trick of physics, misunderstood by human perception. Yet there is another layer of speculation. What if these plasmas are not random at all, but controlled? Theoretical physicists and engineers have long wondered if advanced civilizations, or even secret Earth-based projects, could harness plasma as a medium of technology. Plasma is flexible, luminous, and highly responsive to magnetic fields. If shaped and confined, it might act as a shield, a propulsion mechanism, or even a cloaking field. A glowing sphere in the night might then not be a mere accident of weather, but the visible shell of an engineered device. This idea raises unsettling questions. Are the so-called plasma anomalies that appear in radar reports, blips that confound tracking systems, simply nature's chaos, or deliberate camouflage? Could plasma clouds serve as both decoys and energy reservoirs, making detection nearly impossible? The plasma hypothesis, then, operates at two levels, the scientific and the speculative. On one hand, it explains UFO sightings without breaking the laws of physics, nature itself providing luminous illusions. On the other, it suggests the possibility that these same laws might be bent to serve as tools of technology. If an intelligence, human or not, had mastered plasma, it could blur the line between natural phenomenon and engineered craft. In this uncertainty lies the intrigue. Plasma does not dismiss the UFO mystery, it reshapes it. What we see in the sky may be both a reflection of Earth's own atmospheric drama and a whisper of technologies beyond our reach.
Chapter 7. Advanced Materials. The UFO Skin. When reports of unidentified flying objects began to gain traction in the 20th century, most of the focus centered on their movements, sharp turns, impossible accelerations, and speeds that seemed to defy the known laws of aerodynamics. But in recent years, another line of inquiry has quietly grown: the study of the materials said to compose these mysterious crafts. If the engines were beyond our comprehension, perhaps the very skin of the UFOs was the secret. Scientists who have had access to alleged fragments describe them as unlike anything in conventional aerospace technology. These pieces, sometimes metallic shards, sometimes layered composites, are often referred to as metamaterials. A metamaterial is not defined merely by what it is made of, but by how its internal structure is arranged.
By carefully engineering the spacing and geometry of atoms or larger components, it becomes possible to create effects that ordinary matter cannot produce. Some reports claim these fragments exhibit unusual isotopic ratios, distributions of atoms that do not match naturally occurring patterns on Earth. This has sparked speculation. Could these materials have been manufactured elsewhere, under conditions different from our planet's geology? The notion of extraterrestrial metallurgy may sound sensational, yet it raises legitimate questions about what advanced civilizations might achieve if they had centuries or even millennia more experience manipulating matter. One of the most fascinating properties attributed to these alleged materials is their ability to absorb and redirect energy in unconventional ways. Imagine a structure that not only reflects radar, but bends electromagnetic waves around itself, rendering it effectively invisible to detection systems. Some metamaterials designed in human laboratories already demonstrate primitive versions of this behavior, functioning as cloaking devices on small scales. If fragments from UFOs truly exhibit these properties, they would represent a vastly superior mastery of this same principle. Another recurring theme in reports is extreme resilience. Testimonies suggest these materials withstand enormous stress, heat, and pressure far beyond the capabilities of known aerospace alloys like titanium or carbon composites. A skin like this could allow a craft to dive into the ocean, accelerate at hypersonic speeds, or withstand the friction of atmospheric re-entry without a scratch. The boundary between air, space, and water would no longer matter. The craft would treat them all as the same medium. But the most extraordinary claims relate to the interaction of these materials with light itself. Some researchers suggest that the geometry of a UFO's skin might enable it to bend visible light around its surface, effectively becoming invisible to the naked eye. This concept, known as negative refraction, has been tested in physics laboratories, but only with highly controlled and limited success. If scaled up to a functional level, it could explain why UFOs often appear to flicker, shimmer, or vanish suddenly from sight. Perhaps they are not disappearing, but simply redirecting photons away from observers. Skeptics, of course, caution that much of this remains unverified. The chain of custody for supposed UFO fragments is often murky. Some pieces have turned out to be ordinary industrial byproducts. Others remain unexplained, neither confirmed as extraordinary nor dismissed as hoaxes. Yet the fact that governments and research institutions have devoted real funding to studying these materials is telling. The Pentagon's interest in metamaterials, revealed through programs like ATIIP, suggests that even within official circles, the question is taken seriously. The implications stretch beyond the UFO mystery itself. If such advanced materials exist, they could revolutionize entire industries: energy transmission, defense, medicine, and transportation. Imagine body armor as light as cloth but stronger than steel, or lenses capable of perfect invisibility cloaks, or spacecraft resistant to radiation in the harshest cosmic environments. Whether or not these materials are truly of non-human origin, the pursuit of them has already pushed human science forward. By chasing the myth of alien alloys, we are learning to build matter atom by atom, designing structures that respond to waves and forces in ways nature never intended. Perhaps the UFO skin is not only a barrier protecting the unknown, but also a mirror showing us the next frontier of our own material science. And so, when we look at the shimmering shell of a reported craft, we might be seeing more than a mystery. We could be glimpsing the future of physics, where matter itself becomes a tool for bending the rules of reality.
Chapter 8: Consciousness and Physics. For centuries, the universe was imagined as a clockwork mechanism, predictable, external, and indifferent to human perception. Matter obeyed fixed laws, and consciousness was merely a passive observer of events. Yet modern physics has begun to challenge this assumption. Quantum mechanics, with its strange dualities and probabilistic outcomes, suggests that observation may play a role in shaping reality itself. Could consciousness, in some subtle way, be intertwined with the universe? And if so, could this link help explain the enigmatic behavior of UFOs? The mind-matter hypothesis proposes that consciousness is not merely an emergent property of the brain, but an active participant in the unfolding of physical events. In quantum experiments, particles exist in multiple states until measured, a phenomenon known as superposition. The act of observation collapses possibilities into a single outcome. While this does not imply that human thought can control reality at will, it hints at a fundamental connection between observer and observed, between consciousness and the quantum fabric of the universe. Some researchers speculate that advanced civilizations, or even phenomena we classify as UFOs, might exploit this relationship. Accounts of UFOs reacting to human presence, evading pursuit, or appearing selectively to certain witnesses suggests a responsiveness that goes beyond mechanical or automated systems. Could it be that these objects, in some manner, are attuned to the awareness of those observing them? While speculative, the pattern of reports, where craft vanish when approached too closely or seem to anticipate actions, aligns intriguingly with the idea that observation itself has consequences. Physicists exploring this domain focus on the role of measurement and entanglement. Quantum entanglement allows particles to be correlated across vast distances instantaneously, such that the state of one immediately affects the state of another. Could such principles, amplified and engineered, allow a craft to interact with consciousness across distances? While current science offers no proof, the mere possibility invites consideration. The intersection of consciousness and physics also touches on perception. Human sensory systems are limited, and our brain constructs reality from incomplete data. Could the seemingly erratic behavior of UFOs be in part a reflection of the observer's mind, a projection shaped by expectations, fears, and attention? This is a controversial but fascinating question. If reality is not entirely independent of perception, then the act of witnessing a UFO becomes a subtle interplay between objective phenomenon and subjective awareness. Experimental work on consciousness is still in its infancy. Studies of meditation, near-death experiences, and extrasensory perception hint at uncharted interactions between mind and matter, but reproducible, scientifically rigorous results are rare. Yet, in the context of UFO studies, these anomalies spark curiosity rather than dismissal. For theorists like Jesse Michels, the potential for consciousness to affect or interact with advanced technology cannot be ignored.
Ultimately, the physics of consciousness challenges the boundary between observer and observed. It proposes that the universe may be more participatory than passive, more interconnected than it seems. If UFOs operate with technology beyond our comprehension, it is conceivable they could leverage principles that connect mind and matter, shaping events not merely through mechanics, but through awareness itself. Whether this remains speculative or someday testable, it expands our understanding of what is possible. The mystery of UFOs may not be solely a matter of speed, energy, or material. It may also be a question of perception, awareness, and the subtle ways consciousness interacts with the cosmos. In exploring this frontier, we confront a profound idea: that mind and universe may not be separate, and that our very observation could be part of the story.
Chapter 9: Military Research and Hidden Science. The intersection of UFOs and military research has always been a shadowy domain, filled with secrecy, speculation, and tantalizing hints of advanced science. For decades, governments have investigated unidentified aerial phenomena, sometimes publicly, often behind closed doors. In the United States, the most prominent modern example is AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which operated from 2007 to 2012. Initially revealed through investigative journalism and leaked Pentagon documents, ATIP focused on evaluating reports of unknown craft capable of extraordinary speeds and maneuvers. What sets these programs apart is not simply the cataloging of sightings, but the serious attention given to the physics implied by the phenomena. Analysts studied radar data, pilot testimonies, and recovered materials, attempting to reconcile observed behaviors with known aerodynamics and propulsion. Some reports indicated objects accelerating faster than conventional technology allows, hovering without discernible thrust, and even appearing to defy inertia. To those within the programs, these were not merely curiosities. They were potential technologies beyond current human understanding. The leaked documents hint at investigations into unconventional propulsion methods, energy systems, and materials science. Discussions of exotic propulsion, anti-gravity effects, and advanced composites appear repeatedly, often couched in cautious language that suggests theoretical possibilities rather than confirmed capabilities. These findings fuel speculation that some UFO encounters might involve craft utilizing principles that only frontier physics can describe: manipulation of gravity, warp-like movement, or even energy-matter interactions beyond conventional limits. Yet much remains hidden. Government agencies are notoriously opaque, and the divide between public knowledge and classified research is profound. Whistleblower accounts suggest the existence of additional programs operating under deeper levels of secrecy, where the line between defense, experimental aerospace, and the study of anomalous phenomena blurs. The truth is layered. While some information has reached the public domain, vast portions of data, technical reports, analysis, and recovered materials remain inaccessible. This tension between transparency and secrecy has multiple implications. On one hand, it encourages skepticism and caution, reminding us that not every sensational claim is verified. On the other, it keeps open the possibility that extraordinary technologies may have been glimpsed by civilians, captured on radar, or analyzed by military experts long before the world knew.
The very existence of these programs legitimizes the idea that UFOs are not merely folklore or misidentifications. They are phenomena worthy of serious scientific scrutiny. Internationally, similar efforts exist, often less publicized. Other countries have conducted classified studies of anomalous aerial vehicles, assessing potential threats and technological opportunities. The recurring theme is consistent. Objects observed in the skies sometimes exceed what is achievable with known physics, raising questions that lie at the edge of both science and national security. For researchers like Jesse Michels and others exploring theoretical physics, the military's interest adds a layer of credibility. It suggests that governments, with their resources and expertise, find these phenomena puzzling enough to invest in dedicated study. Yet it also underscores the unknown. What is being observed, what has been discovered, and what remains deliberately concealed. Military research, therefore, occupies a paradoxical space. It is at once a source of revelation, documenting real phenomena that defy explanation, and a reminder of the limits of public understanding. The interplay between classified programs and frontier physics hints at a broader question. Might the UFO mystery be less about myths or extraterrestrials, and more about technologies, known or unknown, that challenge our understanding of reality itself? The veil of secrecy, the half-disclosed documents, and the careful analysis of unexplained craft all converge to suggest that we stand on the edge of knowledge. The story of UFOs is not confined to sightings or folklore. It is intertwined with human attempts to push the boundaries of physics, to investigate what is possible, and to peer beyond the veil of the known. Chapter 10. Toward a Unified Theory of UFO Physics. After exploring propulsion beyond imagination, the bending of space and time, hidden dimensions, gravity manipulation, plasma phenomena, advanced materials, the interplay of consciousness, and military research, one question emerges. Is it possible to integrate these insights into a unified understanding of UFO physics? The answer is speculative, yet tantalizing. Each hypothesis, on its own, challenges conventional science. Exotic propulsion suggests access to energies far beyond current engineering. Warping space-time implies mastery over the structure of the cosmos. Hidden dimensions could provide shortcuts that appear miraculous to observers. Gravitational manipulation hints at technologies that negate inertia itself. Plasma may both obscure and empower. Advanced materials could bend light and absorb extreme forces. Consciousness may subtly interact with reality. Military research suggests that some of these phenomena are being taken seriously, studied, and documented. If even one of these concepts were confirmed, it would revolutionize our understanding of physics. The implications would be profound. Energy, motion, matter, and even perception would be malleable in ways currently deemed impossible. What appears today as myth, speculation, or fringe theory could become tomorrow's cornerstone of advanced science. A unified theory of UFO physics does not claim to have all the answers. Rather, it offers a framework in which disparate observations and phenomena might cohere. It encourages a synthesis between empirical data, theoretical exploration, and open-minded inquiry. The boundaries between science, speculation, and imagination become porous, not in order to diminish rigor, but to expand the horizon of what is possible. Ultimately, the pursuit of understanding UFOs mirrors the pursuit of understanding the universe itself. Both challenge assumptions, stretch perception, and invite humility. They remind us that reality may be more complex, more surprising, and more interconnected than we can currently measure.
Conclusion. Unidentified flying objects are more than mere curiosities in the night sky. They are mirrors of our scientific imagination, reflecting the questions, possibilities, and limits of human understanding. By exploring propulsion beyond conventional energy, gravitational manipulation, hidden dimensions, advanced materials, plasma phenomena, and even the subtle role of consciousness, we engaged not only with the UFO mystery, but with the very frontiers of physics. Theoretical physics does not dismiss these possibilities. It frames them as questions that expand the horizon of inquiry. What seems impossible today may, in time, become a deeper understanding of the universe. UFOs, in this sense, are not simply anomalies. They are invitations. Invitations to look beyond the obvious, to question assumptions, and to explore the interplay between imagination and observation. As we conclude this journey, we are left with a choice: to regard UFOs solely as myth, or to consider them as phenomena that push the boundaries of science, technology, and consciousness. By keeping our minds open, yet critical, we honor both the mystery and the pursuit of knowledge. In contemplating the unknown, we engage with the universe itself and with the profound possibilities that lie at the edge of human understanding.